Hey, I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you about an INE course, Deploying and Configuring Azure Infrastructure. I am Tracy Wallace. I am the course author and presenter for this course, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about myself because that's not why you're here. But I do want to let you know I've been working in IT for over 30 years. I've been a Microsoft trainer and working with Microsoft products for over 25 years. And I've been working with and teaching Azure since right around, I never remember, 2010 or 2011, somewhere in that range. So I kind of got in early, and I've really just been borderline obsessed with Azure since. And so it's a lot of fun to work with, and hopefully that will come across as you go through this. But not about me. Let's talk about what's in this course. I'm going to start out really quickly talking about some of the prerequisites. I don't want you to come running into this course if you're not ready for it. That would be bad. We're going to start out with Azure Fundamentals. This is an Azure Architecture course. It's actually aligned with the Azure Architecture Expert Exam, AZ300, one of two. And so it's high level, right? And if you're coming in and this is your first exposure to Azure, probably not where you want to start. You definitely want to become familiar with Azure, understand what Azure is, what Azure resources are, and what are the tools that you can use with Azure. Because this course really is an infrastructure course, kind of low level, you want to understand networking concepts. Now that doesn't mean that you need to be a network engineer, but if you are comfortable with things like IP address ranges, you're probably fine. If they make you run away, you may want to go back and fill that in a little bit. Also, because it is infrastructure, we're going to talk about virtual machines. Virtual machines have been around for quite a while at this point, so hopefully there's something you are familiar with, and whether it's on premises with Windows Hyper-V or VMware or various Linux solutions for virtualization. It's all kind of the same, and so as long as you're familiar with the core tenets of virtualization, I'm sure somebody is yelling at me right now for saying it's all basically the same. But in any case, not a huge barrier to being able to do this. Let's get into brief coverage of what's actually in this course. And there's a number of topics that we're going to go through in this course. First of all, we're going to take a look at analyzing resource utilization and consumption. Okay, so you're paying for consumption, probably a good idea to understand how you can keep track of that. All right, and we'll also look at really then going through the core, what I would say infrastructure components are in Azure. We'll start with storage, all right, because that's a good place to start. Then we're going to get into compute. We're going to talk about virtual machines and provisioning virtual machines and managing virtual machines in an Azure environment. And then kind of the third part that puts all this together is creating and connecting virtual networks, right? So I've got storage, I've got compute, I've got networking, I've got the fundamentals really of any IT solution. And finally, we're going to take a look at migrating our workloads to Azure, specifically migrating virtual machines. So if I've got on-premise virtual machines or even on-premise bare metal machines that I want to transfer their workload into Azure, we're going to take a look at what the options are for really analyzing your current on-premises workload, determining if it's going to be suitable or what needs to happen to move it to Azure, how much it's going to cost when it's in Azure, and also looking at the tools to actually migrate those workloads in a very straightforward way into the Azure environment. As I mentioned, these topics align with the Azure Architecture Expert Exam, AZ300, and I'd like to think that they go beyond the exam. That's always what we're working for here, is again to more make you an expert rather than just teach you what's on the exam. And that's fundamental to what we do at INE. All right, so there you go. That's what we've got in this course. I want to thank you for taking a few minutes to watch this introduction to it. And hopefully you'll come on over to INE and take a look at this course and many of the others that we have related to Azure and a wide range of additional topics.